Hello everyone, welcome to Percussionology. My name is Rob Sullins and I'll be teaching you percussion with teaching and students in mind. Today what I wanted to do is give you a little variation on 8 on a hand that I teach my students. This can be used from beginners all the way through high school. I try to introduce it to my beginners as quickly as I can so that we can introduce dynamics and they can understand the control of moving the stick down and back up, and also so they have a range of dynamics that they can relate to when it comes to music throughout their entire percussion performing career. So I'm going to show you how I introduce that and then some height systems that I can use. Any of this stuff can be altered, but I try to give you a way that you can show dynamics without having rulers and whatnot as an aid and be able to do it by themselves. So the first thing I do is I have it go through their checklist. We start in relaxed position, we'll go to ready position, we'll go through our checklist, making sure we have quarters, hands flat to the ground, mouths closed, thumbs are on the side of the stick. We have a big slice of pie, and then we also have our bunny slope. So once they have that in place, the next thing we're going to do is go to set position, 80% wrist, 20% arm. And then we're starting here in what I consider to be fortissimo. So fortissimo, if you're actually measuring this with a ruler, it's about 18 inches from the pad. I use this height as just what is a normal, full, big bodied sound when they play. The next dynamic I go from here is I go to forte. So instead of trying to break out a ruler and trying to find a way to best describe this, what I do is from this position, I just have the students look at the bead, I have them put the other bead flat to the pad, and I tell them to find halfway in between. And usually they're pretty good, spot on visually to be able to line that up, and I tell them, okay, this is forte, and we're gonna call this 9 inches. Okay, so we're 9 inches from here. I'll have them play 8 on a hand at fortissimo. They'll do 8 on the right, 8 on the left, 8 on the right, 8 on the left. So we go through this. And what I'm doing is making sure that the sticks are rebounding to the same height that the bead that's in resting position or tacit position. So it'd be something like this. From here, what I'll do is I'll have them go through that checklist, put the one stick all the way down, tell them to find halfway up, and then bring the other bead down. And then we'll do the same thing again, 8 on a hand, 4 times on each. We're always watching the bead to make sure both sticks are at the same height. So once they've gotten to that point, I'll have them go maybe to ready position, bring both sticks back up, find that forte dynamic level, have them even tell me this is 9 inches and it's forte, bring this stick down, and then I go to the next dynamic level down, which will be mezzo forte, and I'd have them keep one stick here, and then I have them go here, and then back to the middle, and now we are at one dynamic level softer. So now we're at mezzo forte, and this is usually around 6 inches. If you're looking for an interesting kind of device to show what height that is, I use a dollar bill, and I can show what that is. Usually when I pull a dollar bill out of my pocket, I'm trying to find the largest denomination, but I fold it in half long ways, and this is an excellent way if you have a couple dollars to rest it on the student's pad, but this is 6 inches. So I'll have students, if I want to check, put the sticks right above there, be able to play at 6 inches. Without this device, I can go through my checklist again, halfway here, and then find halfway again. Now I'm at mezzo forte 6 inches, 4 times, 8 on a hand on each hand. During this process, I'm making sure that the sticks are still rebounding off the pad and making sure kids aren't downstroking or trying to squeeze too much. The other things you'll see is kids getting softer is what they'll do is the hand angles will start coming in and turning over. So I just tell them while they're playing it, watch your quarters, watch your slice of pie, make sure your mouths are closed, making sure that they're just are thinking about that in the same process. Once we have 6 inches, again, I'll start at the top, fortissimo, forte, mezzo forte. Now I'm down here at mezzo piano, this is 3 inches. Go through that process 4 times. Now I'm at 3 inches. Then I go to 1.5 inches, which is piano. And the last one going from here, even half there, pianissimo. At this point, I'm telling the students to play as soft as they possibly can. In this case, when they're playing that soft, they usually kind of get frustrated sometimes because they can barely hear themselves, especially if they're playing on something like a real feel pad. At that time, I usually demonstrate. If they're playing on a snare drum, I'll pull a snare drum out and show them how loud it actually is if they're playing that soft, and then relate back to if we play fortissimo, how loud that's actually going to be. Once they're comfortable with that, I have them go through the entire process. I might put 4 counts in between in order for them to adjust their sticks, and then once they've all done all of that, I have them play all in a row. So all of this going down, decrescendoing from here, would look something like this. This is 8 on a hand, 4 times on each hand. Forte. Mezzo forte. Mezzo piano. Piano. Pianissimo. Once I've done this a number of times and the students get more comfortable with it, we do it in reverse order. So we'll start from the bottom and we will build our way back up to fortissimo. We would start here at pianissimo, we would go to piano, mezzo forte, forte, and then all the way up to fortissimo. When you do this, the important thing to remember is it is going to take more effort to put the energy as the sticks come up. Students usually do a pretty good job as they decrescendo, staying in time, but as you're building those dynamics back up, I use the analogy of pedaling a bike up a hill. Every single time that the stick has to travel a further distance, you're not going to maintain the same speed if you're climbing up that hill and you pedal the exact same speed as if you're going on a flat surface. So I tell them they're going to have to put more energy into it, and they're actually going to have to work harder just to get the sticks to rebound at the same volume. Just to demonstrate, this is starting at pianissimo. Piano. Mezzo piano. Mezzo forte, my dollar bill. Forte. Fortissimo. There's a number of variations that you can do on this. Instead of doing 4 times on each hand, you could just do twice. You can change the numbers. Instead of it being 8, it can be 7, it can be 6, it can be 4. Any kind of variation to make the kids continue to think, because after a while, this gets a little monotonous. The standard is extremely high, but at the same time, we want to keep students interested. And I do this every single day with my students. And I'll show a variation on mallets here in the near future, but I've started to do this on mallets as well. Have the students pick any 2 notes that they want, put the right hand on one note, put the left hand on another, and go all the way down and all the way up. The main reason that I do this is so that the students have a firm grasp of dynamics. I rarely have a problem with students playing soft enough or loud enough because they've been doing this pretty much every single day. If for some reason the music part is notated as this is supposed to be forte, but as we all know, the snare drum part's not supposed to be forte, it's realistically going to be mezzo forte or mezzo piano, I can instantaneously tell the students to change their part to mezzo forte, and they know that mezzo forte is 6 inches, and they've been trained to play at that height. And if I want it softer, I can do that. Another variation that I do with this is not only with the heights, but I also use playing zones when students are playing. I'll have a picture of this to demonstrate it more clearly, but as the students decrescendo, they will also move closer to the edge of the pad, and I break it down very clearly and very simplistically as quarters. So we'll have the center of the pad, then we move 1/4 of the distance towards the edge of the pad, this being the edge, furthest away from them. Center, 1/4, halfway, 3/4, and then at the very edge right before the rim. The interesting thing is most pads have some kind of logo, and I tell the students if the logo was on the other side of the pad, that's 3/4 of an inch. If you have the Remo pads, then those are gonna be right over the logo, so you can use that as a reference for 3/4 of the way. So again, center, 1/4 of the way towards the edge, halfway towards the edge, 3/4 of the way towards the edge, and then playing at the very edge. So I layer these on accordingly. Fortissimo and forte will be in the center of the pad. As we move down, mezzo forte will go out 1/4, mezzo piano will be halfway, piano will be 3/4 of the way, and then pianissimo is at the edge. And then I do it in reverse order as we go back up. So I'll demonstrate that and say the dynamics and also say the zones of the pad as well. Fortissimo in the center of the pad. Forte center. Mezzo forte, 1/4 forward. Mezzo piano, halfway. Piano, 3/4. Pianissimo edge. Repeat. So I'm doing the pianissimo again at the edge. Piano, 3/4 from the edge. Mezzo piano, halfway. Mezzo fortes, 1/4 from the center. Forte in the center. Fortissimo in the center. So this process is a little bit more lengthy than just playing maybe 8 on a hand a couple of times, but having the expression and control of the students to go all the way down and go all the way back up is extremely important. Again, when students are doing this, I'm usually calling out the dynamic level, I'm calling out the heights, 18 inches, 9 inches, I'm calling out the zones on the pad, I'm calling out all those little tricks that I have as far as keeping the mouths closed, turning their hands over, and if they make a little bit of a mistake on the rhythm, the bigger idea is that they have the control and to build up and build back down, so that when it comes time to apply it to music, they have the understanding and the control to not overplay. If anything, when the music comes to the softer dynamic levels, I usually have students have to play stronger on snare drum because they're so comfortable with playing at piano and pianissimo dynamic levels that it can barely be heard over the band. I hope this has been helpful. Again, please take a moment to subscribe below. If you have any questions, please email me at percussionology@gmail.com. I'd love to be able to help however I can. If something's stumping you and you really don't know how to teach it to your kids, I'd love to be a resource. Shoot me a message, maybe send me a video or maybe even the sheet music, and I do my best to break it down for you guys however it is. It can be snare drum, it can be timpani, it can be anything that's in the percussion section. I'll do everything I can to help you guys out. Also take a moment, I have a Facebook group, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm gonna be adding some more information on those. And again, love to hear from you guys. Want to wish you the best of luck, and thanks for visiting Percussionology.